Good morning, students. Today we're going to look at direct material variance analysis. Okay, so these are your PowerPoints for the first 2 days, and then we'll go to labor. I want to introduce you to some new terms. What we're looking at here is what we call standard costs. Those are budgeted or estimated costs, just like you would budget something. So I want you to know that term. And then what we're going to do is we're going to end up comparing that to actual cost. Now, standard cost systems, budgeted systems, primary reason is to control costs. That's what we're looking at here. We want to know if we went over our budget by spending too much on both materials and labor. Manufacturers, service, and not-for-profits use this. Retailers generally don't. They do have a budget, but they don't make a product. And so we want to put these standard or budgeted costs in our records. And then again, primary reason is to control cost, and then it's efficient for office workers, clerical, bookkeeping. Here are the reasons, some more reasons that they're used. They motivate employees because what you're going to do is give them a quota, so many to make, and that causes them to want to do better and meet their quota. It helps you plan what your production is. It helps you control cost. So variance analysis deals with controlling cost. And the idea is you want to keep your cost low, but you want to keep your quality high. And a variance is a difference between what you actually spent versus what you budgeted. Okay, and we're going to look at these variances for material, labor. They do have them for overhead, but we won't analyze those in this class. So on this slide, we want to focus in on direct material cost budget. There are two types. There's a price, okay, what we pay for the materials and how much we're using. Then Wednesday we'll come back and look at labor, okay, how much we pay our workers and how much time they spend on the product, making the product. Overhead is not looked at in this class, it's looked at in cost. Okay, and this is the model that we intend to use. So what I want you to do is we're going to pull up the the class problem. So let me escape this view and minimize this and show you where the problem is. You need to go to in class and homework problem and pull that up. Make you a copy of it. First page is going to be the one that we use in classwork that I'm going to work through now. Second page is going to be the one that you do for homework. Okay. And I'm trying to get my little stand so that I can put down my phone. Okay, let's go over here and let's look at the problem. And this is about producing blue jeans. So we have a company here called Western Rider, and the company uses a standard or a budgeted cost system. In this, it was estimated that the material was going to cost them $5 a yard. That's the budgeted price. And then the amount that they intended to spend as far as purchasing the material was 7,500 yards to make the jeans. However, by the time they finished, they found out that the actual price that they had to pay was $5.50 a yard. So obviously the supplier went up. And the actual quantity of materials that were used was 7,300 yards. So what we want to do is to go back to that model that was in the PowerPoints that I showed you. We want to draw this out on our graph here, okay? And then we want to look at some new terms. Let me show you these terms. Abbreviations. AP is going to be actual price that we're paying for the material or for labor. Actual quantity is going to be the actual amount of material that was used, or it could be hours, but in this case it's going to be quantity of materials. Standard price is going to be the budgeted amount that we thought we were going to pay for the materials. Standard quantity is going to be the amount that we thought we were going to use to make the material. So we want to draw this little graph thing, and on one end we want to put actual quantity times actual price. On the other, we want standard quantity times standard price. We want to take the difference, and that's going to tell us the total cost variance on a material. So come over here to your paper. Okay. So on this side, we want actual quantity times actual price. And on this side, we want standard quantity times standard price. Okay, let's find our dollar amounts in our quantity that I circled up here. Now, the standard, what we thought we were going to pay was $5. So we thought we were going to pay $5. We want to multiply that by how much we thought we were going to use for the blue jeans, 7,500 yards. Okay. When you multiply that, that's going to give you $37,500. And that's what we budgeted or thought we were going to use. This was our budget amount, which we call standard. Now, what we actually spent, though, if you come up here, we used 7,300 and we spent $5.50 a yard. And if you multiply those together, you come up with 40,150. So this is what we actually paid. Now, remember what we're getting here is the total material cost. Okay? So you want to take the difference and start from the left side and subtract the right. When you do that, 40,150 minus 37,500 is going to give you $2,650 difference. Okay? Now, we have to decide whether that's good or bad. And we refer to good as being favorable and bad as being unfavorable. Think about your spending. If you actually spent this much money, I don't know, on a car, and you intended to spend $37,500 on a car, you went over your budget, and that would be an unfavorable. Okay, so if actual is greater than standard, okay, or budgeted, then it's going to be unfavorable. And your PowerPoints talk about that. Okay. Now, I want to introduce you to a new term that I refer to as the imaginary term. Okay. And this is going to help us get this price variance and this quantity variance. Okay. So we want to focus on the price variance first. I want to draw a line straight up. Okay. And this is going to be material price variance. And with the numbers that we put here come from the opposite ends of our total variance. So your actual quantity here, you want to pull over. Actual quantity is 7,300. And you want to multiply that times your standard price. Standard price here is $5. Okay, I refer to that as an imaginary number. I'm sure there's a term for it, actual quantity at standard price, I guess. When you do that multiplication, you come up with, I'm going to put through this, 36,500. Okay, 36,500. Now, you want to start over here because we're looking at these two numbers. Material price variance has to do with your price that you paid. Look at the price. This will help you. Price that you paid was $5.50. Price that we wanted to pay was $5. Now that'll tell you right there that it's unfavorable. Okay, so again, if actual is greater than standard, it's an unfavorable variance. So we know it's unfavorable. Let's take the difference between the total numbers. 40,150 minus 36,500 is going to give you $3,650, and it's an unfavorable amount. So what that means is we spent more than we intended to spend on our material. So let's make sure we've answered the questions down here at the bottom. In A, I want you to calculate the actual cost of the direct materials. That was going to be $40,150, which is what you got on this side. Okay. And the imaginary number that I call is the middle number, and they wanted you to calculate that, 36,500. They want you to take the difference, 40,150 minus 36,500, and that is going to give you $2,650. And then the last one is tell if it's favorable or unfavorable. And I told you if actual is greater than standard, then it's unfavorable. Okay. So make sure you get all that down when you do your homework. Okay, and then the last part is the other side of this little diagram. And this is going to be how much did you use? This is going to be your material quantity. Okay, material quantity. Now you already have your numbers in here. Okay, 36,500, 37,500. This is your budgeted amount. This is what we call the imaginary amount. So do your subtraction left to right. Okay, and the dollar amount is going to be a negative 1,000. Now, don't let the negative fool you, because your first instinct is to say that that's unfavorable. But let's take a look first at two things. How much did you use? You budgeted 7,500 yards of material. You actually used 7,300. That makes it favorable there. Okay, so in this case, what you're looking at is your quantity. Okay. In this case, your quantity, so if actual is less than standard, then it's going to be a favorable variance, and it is shown as a negative. Okay, that one will be shown as a negative. Unfavorable is shown as a positive. So in this case, it's going to be a favorable difference. You used less material than you budgeted. So let's come down here and put our numbers down. We wanted to get the budgeted 7,500 yards times the $5, and that's this amount here, which we got 37,500. Okay. Then you want that middle number, which was I call the imaginary number. That's going to be 36,500. And you want to take the difference from left to right, 37,500. 36,500 was the first number. Okay, so make sure you do that. Let's look at that again. I was about to mess it up. 36,500 minus the 37,500. And I was about to do it the opposite. And that's going to give you a negative 1,000. If it's a negative number, it's going to be favorable. Okay, and again, the reason is because standard is greater than actual, so it's a favorable variance. Okay, standard again is your budgeted amount. Standard is your budget. Okay. All right, that takes care of the variances. Your homework is the second problem that's shown in that same link. It will be due Wednesday. Let's take a look at it. Okay. Do the diagram just like I did. Okay, get your actual quantity, standard, calculate the direct material cost. Okay, that was the first thing I did. So when you do that, I'm talking about the first number I got here was a difference of $26.50 when I did both of the end parts. So that's your first part of this. Gave you plenty of room. Then they want you to do that middle number, which was the imaginary number, okay, and do the price. So they want you to do this part and get the price variance. And then in the third part, they want you to do the quantity variance, okay, just like I did, and tell if it's favorable or unfavorable. So they're wanting you to take the difference between these two numbers that you've already calculated. Okay. One thing before I let you go, I want to show you something. Look at these two numbers that we got here for the price and for the material quantity variance. We had 36, where is it? 36. Okay, should this be, wait a minute, this should be 3,650, okay, I believe. Used 3,650. Oh, I'm glad I caught that. 40,150, which was this number, minus this number, should be 3650, not 2650. So please correct that. Okay, so this was your material price variance. And then down here was your quantity variance. And again, it's material. Look at these numbers. You have 3650 minus 1,000. When you do the subtraction, this is your total material cost variance. So you're reconciling your numbers. Here's your price variance, 3650. Remember to correct that. Your quantity variance, subtract that. That gives you 2650. Now go back up here. 2650 was your overall total material cost variance, the difference between these two poles here. So you do kind of need to know that. All right, with that said, do that second problem as a homework problem, upload it, or type in your numbers. Please get it to me on time. Do not email it. And it's due Wednesday, 11:59 p.m. See you later, and we'll pick up on labor next time.